Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks. This is a Spoilercast. It's the middle of the week, but we're going to be putting this in podcast form too. So if you're listening to this later in that way, then welcome. We're covering The Boys Season 2, Episodes 3 and 4. But don't worry, if you're not following along with that series, with The Boys right now, that's fine. In the beginning, we're going to be covering news like we normally would. That'll be non-spoilery. But we do have some spoilers for our lives. Fill us in on the details. How you been, Andrea?
I've been pretty good, John. Just going about my life, having some exciting work times these past few weeks. We did our first webinar via the Zoom platform. And
Okay.
the day before we launched the webinar, Zoom decided to delete my account and take it all away. So
That's fun.
I spent a day getting to know the IT people at Zoom very well. So so they
So
now
Billy
know
over
who I
there,
am. Yeah, exactly. I've got several phone numbers. We're old friends now. So I just look at it as an opportunity that, I've met some new people and made some new
networking.
friends. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And I know how to troubleshoot on Zoom now. So, if we ever shift over to that platform, I think, I've got our back here. So,
Okay. Nice. Great.
so yeah, other than that, not too much. Still getting outside, playing some softball. And I've got my brother-in-law's wedding that's coming up this weekend. So,
Nice.
big plans for the weekend.
No, that's not out in California this time.
No, just the bachelor party. This one is the wedding is out in Waconia, and it's going to
Okay.
be at like a winery slash apple orchard. So very fall
Okay.
setting and all outdoors. So
Sure.
yeah,
Well, now you let everybody know where the party's going to be. They
I
can kind of come
know.
crash it.
I know. If you know where Waconia is, you know where the party's at. So
Yeah.
come join me. How about yourself? What have you been up to since we've been away a little
Um,
bit?
yeah, some family stuff, work. So schedule's been thrown into a tizzy. So I do
Hmm.
want to apologize to everybody for the delay. It's been a while. I think it was 10 days since our last regular episode stream. So we're coming up on harvest here, and so maybe I'll have to put something out on Twitter about it too. But just our schedule's going to be kind of come and go, like
Hmm.
free form for a little bit here.
That's right.
So hopefully you'll stick with us through that kind of time.
That's right. We'll keep you on your toes. You'll never know when we're going to do a live broadcast. So
Yep.
make sure to
Yep.
follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all the socials, because then we'll give you a heads up and a warning. So
Yep.
if you're coming to stick with us, follow us.
Yep. I don't know how many people get like notifications on their phone yet in terms
Hmm.
of social media things and stuff. I certainly don't. I don't get notified of any of that stuff. But if you do,
That's
then you
right.
should have it so you know, because just before this a little bit, I was able to jump on with my
Hmm.
brother-in-law and play a couple rounds of Fall Guys on Twitch. So yeah, keep an eye out for that kind of thing. Yeah.
So you've been on Twitch a
Um,
lot today.
I guess, yeah, it was it was a pretty short session, but yeah, I wanted to jump on because throughout the summer I've been playing with him a bunch and being a part of that, and just haven't been able to for a few weeks. So
Sure.
yep. Um, so are you drinking anything fun? I see you have a couple drink holidays set
Yes,
up
that's
today.
right. That's right. Yeah, I thought we'd jump back into our first podcast after the break and I'd do a drink day. So, on September 20th, it was either National Punch Day or National Rum Punch Day. So, I am honoring that day. I've got a little punch here. It's not rum because, as we've talked about before, that's not my favorite alcohol. It is a vodka punch though. So, I figure it still counts.
It
So,
still
I'm
counts for
I'm
sure.
still I'm still in there. I've got the punch down, which I think is like the main component.
Yep.
Um yeah, and then the day after that was National Chai Day. I was gonna, if it was like a true fall day, I think I would have done
Mhm.
like a warm chai and like poured a little
Yeah.
Kahlua in there and like, you know, got some warm going. But it was actually like pretty hot out today. I think it was in the upper 80s at
Yeah.
one point out here. So I was like, no, I need to cool down.
Well, yesterday was the first day of fall. Is that yesterday?
Yes. Yep. It was the first
So
official.
yeah, so that I guess that makes sense. Chai Day being around that,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's not feeling like fall right now.
No,
So
no. I mean, leaves are falling, but temperature wise, you would not know.
hmm I had thought about doing some sort of cocktail or something in tribute to Lord of the Rings because it was National Hobbit Day yesterday.
Mhm. Yes, it was.
Uh, so I mean, pour one out for the halflings.
That's right. If you
Yeah.
got some ale,
Yep.
did you
Yep.
know
We
it
just
also comes in pints?
Yep. Sure did. Um, all right. So, as I said before, we will be doing the spoiler cast, continuing where we
Mhm.
left off on the boys. We don't want to get too far behind on that. But
Right.
first, we have news, and some of it's a little bit old, but want to talk about it. Let's give
Mhm.
us a chance for somewhat to sink in, I guess,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So, want to kick us off with your sad news?
I know, I know. Speaking of, delays and being away for a while, we just got some news a little bit ago, but still relatively fresh, that if you're looking for superhero movies, keep looking because both Wonder Woman and Black Widow have been hit with delays on their releases again. I think only one of them has a new opening date. The other one
Okay.
is um, still up in the air. But yeah, both of those are being pushed because they still want the big theater release. They're not, as of now, moving to put them on a platform. Of course, Black Widow would probably be the more likely to eventually go on a platform,
Yeah.
um, if, of course, it never opens in the theaters. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this news because I feel like I like that these films are still believing in the power of the theater release, and that it's exciting to watch these shows in the movies or in the movie theaters. But at the same
Mhm.
time, like, man, these are big movies that I really wish would just come out and just do it already. So I don't know. I'm torn. Like, I know that a couple of movies that have been released in theaters, like New Mutants and Tenet, haven't done as
Mhm.
well as expected, and of course, I think that's making studios take pause. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
that's what I
hard
was
news to
wondering, like,
swallow.
if that was the deal here. Is like they
Hmm.
see a Christopher Nolan film, it gets released, and you know, I mean, compared to normal times, is not not bringing
Yeah,
in the money. Um,
exactly.
I still feel like it would be just they'd just be bangers if they just released them on streaming services.
Hmm.
People are looking for content. It's just,
Yeah.
you got some people that are worried to go out into a public space. You got some theaters that aren't open, and you have some theaters with extra crazy rules, and some
Hmm.
people that aren't willing to abide by them. So you got this like many factors involved in people not going to the cinema,
Hmm.
but people still want content. So,
That's right.
and you have your own platforms that
Right. Especially
like
for Disney. I mean, they've
yeah,
really. I mean, they've already
pulling
tested the
HBO too,
waters.
HBO Max now. I mean, like that's. I mean, I
Yeah,
know it's more complicated, but
yeah. I was gonna say I don't know the exact navigation for DC for HBO Max. I mean, obviously, all of their TV content and many of their older movies are released there, but I don't know
Mhm,
how they might navigate like a new release. But yes, like you said, still possible. I mean, you've got that
yeah,
avenue. They've basically struck an exclusive deal with HBO Max for all of their other content. So yeah,
yeah.
get it out there. But
Yep. Well,
yep, not for
we'll
now. Not
we'll
for
have to
now.
look elsewhere, and I guess one place you can look is Microsoft for entertainment.
That's right.
This blew my mind, and
Hmm.
like I've had, you might sense the excitement off of me as we go forward here, but this is me having sat on this for a little bit and let it
Mm-hmm.
like mulled it over and stuff, because this was I think 2 days ago, or maybe it was even just yesterday morning this was announced. um Microsoft bought ZeniMax slash Bethesda for $7.5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
To put that in perspective, Disney bought Marvel and Lucasfilm for just over that, like combined. So it's a big purchase.
Yeah.
To me, one of the most like industry shaking moves that I know of. What this ultimately means is not only do they own now the Bethesda employees, like 2,300 of them worldwide, they also own the IP.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the biggest game franchises ever, Doom, Quake, Fallout, Elder Scrolls,
Mm-hmm.
Prey, Dishonored, Wolfenstein, uh, games that go back many years, an acclaimed studio. They're now all under the umbrella of Microsoft, and it's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this showcases how serious Microsoft is about this business.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they understand their competitors here in Google and Amazon could eventually, they've got cash too, and lots of it. They could eventually throw down and suck up some of these other companies as starting to try to get their own gaming things
Mm-hmm.
off the ground.
Right.
So they need to jump. And being an over $1 trillion market cap company, they can make those kinds of moves. And
Mm-hmm.
huge deal.
Yeah, I think this was what Xbox needed to get the news cycle on them in a
Yep.
very positive way. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like they've been. I mean, we've obviously had the back and forth between um, Microsoft and Sony, like releasing events, previews. Here's a sneak peek of our
Yep.
consoles. Here's now. I mean, we haven't even talked about. They've both released pricing now, of course, for their consoles. And Sony was kind of the latest to do that. They had their PS5 event recently. And now I think with this news, Microsoft is just like running and dominating the media circuit right now in terms of gaming.
Yep. I mean, they'll have this for a little while. Of course, it's the question everybody's going to as well. How is
Mm-hmm.
this going to play out? Are the games from Bethesda now going to be exclusive
Right.
to the Xbox ecosystem?
Right.
So it's anyone's guess.
Mm-hmm.
They talk like Bethesda will still be publishing a lot of their stuff themselves.
Right.
So I don't know what the deal is they have worked out exactly. I'm guessing that Microsoft dropped the big bucks and is willing to let some of these things go to a lot of other platforms
Mm-hmm.
because one, they'll have guaranteed day one launches available on Game Pass.
Right.
So like everything that comes here is automatically in that subscription fee. So I mean, if you Game Pass is just nuts at this point. It's
Mm-hmm.
just getting nuts. It's kind of like when Netflix finally got, they hit it big with like the Netflix or the Marvel shows, and then
Right.
Stranger Things just kind of took off then, and it just
Yep.
became this value that everybody had to have. And then the other part that I guess I've seen some people talk about, but not enough, is that Microsoft is very forward thinking in the way of game streaming
Mm-hmm.
services. And Bethesda announced the other year their own game streaming service, Orion, and it was supposedly
Oh,
very
cool.
good technology behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And no doubt that was a huge part of them wanting to hoover these guys up
Right.
so they can incorporate that tech into their own streaming platform.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah. I mean, for Xbox, it's really all about the streaming platform. I mean,
yep,
not only do they have Game Pass, but they've got Ultimate, and then they've got cloud streaming. So I
yep.
mean, they're really all about that right now. So I think that move, like you said, makes a lot of sense in terms of grabbing that technology to make their platforms the best they can be.
Yep. And it'll be interesting because they if this was most any other company, you can guarantee all these games are locked down to one platform.
Right.
Microsoft has talked a different game. We'll kind of see if they kind of stick to that or what. My preference, and I think would be very reasonable and would make both business sense, it would look decent for them, would be to any Bethesda game that comes out gets a, say, 6 month to a year exclusive console exclusivity to Xbox coming to Game Pass. And then after that 6 months to a year, they can get a PlayStation / Nintendo launch.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's already giving all PC players, that's giving all Game Pass subscribers on Xbox and on Android mobile access to these games day and date. And then after 6 months to a year, I think that's completely reasonable. And it both brings people in, and it's an incentive to bring people into your own service. And at the same time, not locking a chunk of the market off completely from this giant developer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think in Phil Spencer's interview, I mean, he mentioned the fact that like anything already being developed and already agreed upon by Bethesda for other platforms is going to be honored. So I think that they're willing to, work something out going forward for future games and be fair, like you said, like work out some kind of, time duration for exclusivity and then open it up to the public. So I think they're starting from a great position and they can negotiate from a great position. But yeah, I don't think that they're going to just lock it away.
Yep. I think it'd be foolish to not do some sort of exclusivity aspect to pull people in. I know that like ultimately just like the more places it is, potentially the more money you make, but it is important to cultivate that fan base, a loyal follower, people to spread the message, kind of thing. And if it's just everywhere all the time, completely from day one, it's hard to cultivate that. Netflix has its following because of Stranger Things, and no one complains that Stranger Things is only available on Netflix.
Right.
Why don't you let Stranger Things be on Amazon Prime? Why don't you let it be on Hulu? Well, because it's our show. That's why. Now, the difference is that you don't need much for particular hardware to stream Netflix. It can be pretty much anything.
Right.
But I'd argue, basically any computer, any number of Xbox consoles for the following number of years, and any Android device with a reasonable internet connection, then that's a pretty fair, large audience already.
Right.
So. And if Apple allows it, it'll be iOS devices too. So
right, yeah, they were talking that they're still negotiating right now. Obviously, their platform on Apple, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yep. So so lots of that comes right the day before pre-orders. We did Ashley and I did manage to secure Xbox One X pre-order.
Okay, going with the One X.
Xbox Series X. I just did it.
Oh yeah,
like all the people on Amazon supposedly pre-ordering the wrong thing.
Dang it!
But yeah, we got the new one coming.
So you got the Series X though, not the S.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right.
We've got a couple 4K TVs. I ain't going S. And we did not. Speaking now, like of next topic, the competitor here, PlayStation. We did not get a PlayStation pre-order. We did try, but being we could not be ready with a date and time that it began, we weren't ready. Like retailers broke the like release embargo or whatever, and so yeah, we did not get in time for that. So unfortunately.
Okay.
But this was the important one to us, I guess, because that's what Ashley plays the most. So but yeah, PlayStation, they had a good event the other week. But then it turned weird because they released so many details afterwards. They said pre-orders were going live the day after, but then they went live that night. And then they really shifted tones in their blog post. They've been speaking for months about believing in generations and moving forward in technology, and we don't want to like have the PlayStation 4 hold back developers. Well, it was revealed then that both the new Spider-Man game and the new Horizon game will be coming to PlayStation 4 as well, completely spitting in the face of that kind of
Yeah.
messaging. So whereas, oh, these games aren't possible, we don't want developers targeting lesser hardware, and like,
Right.
I mean, left it out of their conference, put in a blog post later. So um, it's nothing wrong with them doing this. Just it's starting to see a real pattern of Sony not being upfront.
Mhm. Mhm.
And their new leadership has me a bit worried that you can't get straight answers out of them.
Yeah.
So
Well, when you
yeah,
send mixed messaging like that, people wonder, like, who do I believe? Like, who's actually telling me, the real story? Um,
yeah,
did leadership not communicate with your communications team and somebody put out like old information, or they're leaking information? Yeah. It just creates like a general like wariness and a mistrust that, you can fix, but I mean, you can't keep doing this, like say one thing on one platform and then say another thing on another. So
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a problem.
And then other Spider-Man stuff came out. There was more questions being asked about it, and
Mhm.
it's whereas games like Cyberpunk 2077, a lot of games are being announced that, hey, you'll be able to buy the game right away, and you'll get an upgraded version for next gen when it comes. Spider-Man will not be that case.
Mhm.
So if you bought it, you have a copy, you can play it on PS5, but you're not going to get the improvements that come
Right.
with the new release. You got to buy it again, and
Right,
your
which I would be
saves don't
upset
change.
about.
So, I mean, yeah, why not, right? I mean, a game like go back to Witcher 2, old
Mhm.
game, it keeps getting improved. Witcher 3 now is getting a brand new update
Mhm.
and release for next gen, and they're not charging extra for that.
Yeah.
You can buy the game brand new itself, of course, but
Right,
if you
yeah.
already have it. So we've just seen over and over again, these aren't technological barriers for this. It's just they don't want to do it, you
Yep.
know. And so that's fine. You cannot, Nintendo does this kind of thing all the time too. It's not unheard of by any means, but just don't lie to us about like,
Exactly.
oh, we couldn't do it. We don't want to put the manpower behind making this happen or whatever. It's
Right,
garbage. So,
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I think you cost yourselves more in the unhappy customer than you do in like forcing somebody to buy the new and the old versions. You know what I mean? Like there's something to be said about customer service having enough value that makes up for like the dollars that they spend buying a new game.
yep, right. Okay. We're getting through this. We're almost to the boys.
That's right.
Did you have any other thoughts on the PlayStation event or anything like that? Did you
No,
get to see any
I
of it?
mean, I did. I thought it was like you said, it was a great event. Like I love the events that Sony has been putting together. I think they all, besides being visually stunning, they all have a nice like flow to them. So I mean, I just thought it was a good event, but yeah, a little marred by the back and forth afterwards, and then I think overtaken by the fact that Xbox just made this big deal with ZeniMax.
Sure. I
So.
guess my one other comment on the event was it was very good in a vacuum,
Mhm.
because it, most of what they showed were just a little bit different trailers of what was already announced.
Mhm.
So like Resident Evil 8, you know, we just got a new trailer for it. Well, we already knew that game was coming. It's coming to
Right.
everything. We didn't get gameplay on it, so that was over and over. Here's the game we announced. Here's another trailer of it.
Yep.
That was most of the show. We got the cool things to me where you got a Miles Morales demo,
Mhm.
and you got Final Fantasy 16
Yep.
announcement. So, and other gaming news, Night City Wire, the live streams that CD Projekt Red has been putting on for the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 had their third iteration this last week. And I don't have much to say about it other than the game still looks great. Um, I again, I don't need to hear more, but it was a well put together show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wearing a cyberpunk shirt right now.
You are. That looks
Yeah.
sweet.
Samurai shirt. Yep. So, and then I saw in completely non-gaming related news in any
Yeah.
fashion that I can think of, Teddy Mellencamp is leaving the Real Housewives.
Yeah, you shocked me with this. I had no clue that was coming. I know there were a lot of calls after um this season and the reunion, especially for like Teddy and Rinna to leave.
Mm,
Um, a lot of calls just feeling like the ladies were being bullies and um or in Teddy's case playing victim a lot and just like
sure.
really frustrated about her relationship with Kyle. So I can't say that I'm surprised that she's leaving, even though I was surprised at the announcement. Like I didn't think that she would be leaving after this season, but I can't say that I'm sorry about it.
Yep. Me neither. It's going to be interesting to see how Kyle is after this now.
Yes, it'd be nice if she was a little bit more chill and I mean really, got rekindled some of her friendships with the other ladies because I do think she's just like too tight with Teddy and
Mhm.
it suffers like her other relationships. So,
Yep. All right. From a crazy bunch of girls to the boys.
crazy bunch of boys, yeah.
Yep. Spoiler time for anyone that's not caught up with us on
Mhm.
The Boys from Amazon Prime, season 2, episodes 3 and 4.
Mhm.
Um, I want to kick us off. What'd you think? I don't remember episode 3 that well. I have to kind of look through my notes again. It wasn't that long
Sure,
ago.
sure. Yeah, I always take my like stream of consciousness notes, so I feel like I'm almost like rewatching the episode as I read my own notes, which is great. Um, yeah, I thought episode 3 kicked us off in kind of a very different fashion. It seemed that the boys were out on this boat on the water. They were like somehow
Mhm.
weirdly, it seemed like a vacation somehow, and then we jump right into like the relationship dynamics between the boys that kind of like ended the last episode where you know they were trying to capture Kimiko's brother. um Butcher and Huey were having their like power struggles, and Butcher was coming on like really strong, like fall in
Mhm.
line or get out of my group basically kind of thing. um so yeah, so we open in this very peaceful setting, but we soon get back right into those like power dynamics, um which I think is good that we're addressing them, because I felt like we both talked about the fact that this needed to be addressed, like this tension between Butcher
Yep.
and Huey, and like how they were going to fit into the group with one another. So they started off in a really nice place where Butcher was trying to apologize. Huey was standing up for himself, by kind of slugging Butcher back, getting him back for that one that he surprised him with. So I felt like they were growing and building, and then unfortunately we get interrupted, um, by the arrival of like these outside influences, by the fact that the police department is here because it turns out the boys have stolen this boat that they're on.
Mhm.
um and but right before that happens, we get they're watching TV on the boat, and they see that really 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 big thing has happened. um Annie Starlight has gotten Compound V to a news outlet, and they're running with it. They're blasting Vought. They're just like,
Mhm.
superheroes are made, they're not born. Like, what is Compound V? Like, what is Vought hiding from us? And they kind of like celebrate this huge break that they think that they've gotten. And Frenchie and MM, they're so excited for Huey, and Butcher just like can't get there. He can't like be excited for him.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think it's unfortunate because we had this like moment where they were like, Butcher was like, I'm sorry, I should treat you better. And Huey was like, I should stand up for myself. And then they like fall back into this pattern of Huey does
Yep.
something, but Butcher doesn't think it's good enough.
Yep. And then we see the Deep. riding in to the
Oh
rescue.
God, the Deep. Yeah, yeah. We get a lot more of the Deep and his weird like church
Yeah.
cults that he's in. So I gotta say, I'm really confused about how committed the Deep is to this
Yeah.
Church of the Collective,
Yep.
because in the beginning of the episode, this all the news comes out about Vought and he's freaking out, and you know, um I think it's Eagle the archer. I can't remember, or if it's Hawk the
Oh,
archer.
yeah. Yeah. The
I
other
can't
guy.
remember his name, but his other friend who's in the collective with him, he's like, "Oh, why don't we do some breathing exercises? Let's recite the commandments and the tenets." And he's like, "Fuck you! I just want to order some Papa John's pizza and just like, you know, have
Yeah.
my
Oh, it takes
moment."
time. Yeah.
And then later on, like you said, he kind of comes in riding very awkwardly in on this whale, standing in the beach, like trying to block the boys from making their escape with his superhero pose.
Hmm.
And all the seven kind of catch up with him, and they're like, "Oh, where have you been? Like, sounds like you've, joined the Church of the Collective." And he's like, "I have. And, let me tell you about my light that I'm still searching for." So I'm just not quite like sure how committed the Deep is to this new thing that he's found.
Takes
It's
time to change your life, change
it's
who you are.
to me it was a little bit of like a continuity, like, so is he in? Is he out?
Hmm.
Like, let me know. So,
I, I'm enjoying this season a lot so far, but
mhm.
I am seeing less polish.
Yes.
It
Mhm.
seems less polished than the first, and it's like not wrecking things, but it's just like you say, this kind of thing. I know later that I'm just not sure that Kimiko would be making these choices.
Sure.
I'm still from previous episodes uncertain of this, if this is how things, obviously it's a tough situation with her and her brother.
Mhm.
Um, but like as we get to later with her brother and that not going so well, it's like, well, how did you envision this ending for your
Right.
brother? You
Right.
know, how did you see this going? Like if you didn't just run away with him, how do you think he was going to be safe? He was
Right.
being turned in. He was being turned into authorities
Right.
as a terrorist.
Right.
Um, what do you think is going to happen here? And so I just don't
Yeah.
know. Like, would the her uh, allegiances to Frenchie or the others um, go that deep so
Mhm.
quickly? I don't know. So it's stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard because, I mean, on the one hand, you obviously understand that her brother is threatening to go through their group to get to Homelander, and the other, soups. So obviously she doesn't want him to kill anyone. Like, she doesn't believe that that's
Hmm.
right. And sure, like, I follow that logic up to there. Um, she wants to, run away. He doesn't. So of course that's not an
Yep.
option then. So she thinks her other option is, like you said, to turn him in, but did she really understand who she was turning him into? Like, it wasn't just going to be that the boys would lock him away in a cell forever. It was going to be
Right.
Mallory and whatever group she's a part of. Which
Right.
I'm not quite clear on. I know she keeps saying like, "Oh, I've got connections, and I can get
Hmm. Right.
you this government assistance," but I'm just not sure who that is. So yeah, so I mean, they're an
Food stamps.
unknown. Yeah. They're an unknown entity. So were they going to lock him up? Were they going to torture him for information? Would
Hmm.
they have eventually killed him? Nobody
Yep.
knows. And she seems to be fine with the not knowing, which, like you said, is kind of a problem
Yep.
in understanding her character motivations.
Yep.
So
Well, before I get to like another inconsistency, I guess we'll
yeah.
get to Homelander and getting to
Yeah.
see him deal with his kid and all
Yeah.
the weirdness and that. I mean,
Yeah.
lots of awkward things, I guess.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, what would you do in that situation? That'd be tough.
yeah, I mean, Homelander's yeah. Homelander's definitely a forceful personality. And when
Hmm.
he wants something, he kind of goes after it a bit single-mindedly, to his own and to others' detriment, I think sometimes.
Yep.
So of course, we open with his segment of the story that he's found Becca, um, and he's found his son Ryan, and he's weirdly trying to play like happy house with them. It's like very creepy 1950s, like I'm going to sit at the breakfast table and drink a glass of
Mm-hmm.
milk and have some pancakes, and
Yep.
mom's going to serve us. And Becca and Ryan keep kind of doing things that don't fit in with this like weird 1950s nuclear family vibe. So he's just kind of like, okay, like I can't have that, so why don't we go do something fun and play catch outside. And then, they he takes his son outside, and like the second they went outside, I was like, he's going to test him for powers. I know he is, like, cuz he keeps saying like, you're my son, you're my son, so he keeps expecting him to do all this stuff. The second they were outside and up on the roof, I was like, yep, Homelander is going to push him off, like I knew it. I just knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he does, because he's like, you're fine, you're my son, like go do your thing, be indestructible like me. And luckily for him, Ryan turns out to have powers. But what I didn't see coming was the fact that like Homelander pushes him off the roof. He ends up being fine, although of course Becca freaks out. And then Homelander tries to take control of the situation, and little Ryan is like not having any of it. He like pushes his
Yeah.
old man, get out of here. I just want to be with my mom. Like, yeah.
Yep.
So kind of an interesting dynamic. I mean, I think up to this point, Ryan was all excited, like I have a daddy now. He's
Maybe.
coming,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, theoretically,
Hesitant, but yeah.
right, yeah, theoretically, I think he was very excited, and he
Yep.
was like hopeful about where this could go. And now I think he's sort of back to, oh my god, I don't know this guy very well. He's the stranger who pushed me off the roof. Like,
Tough love.
yeah.
Tough love. Fly, kid. Fly.
Man, it's yeah. I mean, I get it, but also Homelander, it's way too soon to be pushing your kid off the roof.
You know, Becca keeps talking like I'm not raising him like that. I'm not raising him like that. It's like, it's
Mhm.
kind of like if you keep junk food away from your children, or you like,
Yeah.
alcohol is complete taboo or whatever,
Mhm.
then all of a sudden they can, and they're like, okay,
Go
go crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
This kid's going to discover his powers at some point. Didn't grow up with
Right.
like learning what they are, how to use them, the limits, all that
Right.
stuff, and it's going to go nuts. So
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah. I think she's got a bit of an extreme view as well. Like, I
Mhm.
understand where she's coming from. She obviously hasn't had the best interaction with superheroes. And so,
Right.
there's no need to just like teach him like, oh, whatever you want, you can just do with your powers. But like having the ability to understand them, know what they
Yeah.
are, know what maybe his limits are, is, I think more of maybe like a moderation kind of view.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you got to make it normal for them. So then when
mhm.
they, they're not out there like they all don't all of a sudden get a massive ego.
Yeah,
Look what I can do, and you just get such a power surge there. So
right. Or,
I don't know.
end up hurting somebody because you're not
Yeah.
ready.
Right.
You're playing with the other kids and you don't know the limits of your own strength. And I mean, clearly it's formidable if he was able to like throw back Homelander. I
Yep.
mean, he's got
Yep.
more than normal. So, yeah,
Right.
we'll definitely be interested to see how that situation develops there.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, yeah, just Homelander being really creepy.
Mhm.
He only keeps upping that. I love the movie pitch scenario. This all the seven are sitting down and they get their movie pitch, except for Homelander's not there, or whatever, I guess. And
Right. Which
um
is hilarious
that
because
was
the
funny.
pitch is basically Homelander doing all of the
Yeah.
stuff.
Hmm.
I thought it was really funny.
So it's again this thing where, I think it's intentional, and I like it. They made me like Stormfront until you're like, oh man, she's terrible. She's so
Yes,
bad.
yes.
So to
Yeah,
keep doing this stuff, and yeah,
I was all in on her, and then yeah, later we obviously realized, whoopsie. Like,
I still want to know what the deal is with her in terms of strategy from Vought. Like, what is,
hmm
I mean, before it's always been very approved superheroes on lockdown. You know,
hmm
can't date who you don't want. And like, clearly it seems like a lot of that, is change of leadership. So
yeah,
that's different. But clearly the people from the top seem like they're not caring. But then all of a sudden, Mr. Egger comes down and is talking to everybody about needing to get out there and
yeah.
do stuff. And so I'm just not sure how she's out there spreading the message. Bot sucks, basically, all this stuff. That's more in the next episode. But what's their plan with this? Or is this
hmm
is this an oversight in the writing, or is this um some sort of grand master plan?
Right. Yeah, she's certainly as we close out the episode, um just to not give too much away yet, because I definitely want to talk about the closing sequence of the episode because it's pretty big in terms of character moments. Um, as we do close out the episode, they're at a shelter because a disaster has taken place, and um, Stormfront seems to be back on sort of the company line. Whereas earlier in the episode, we see that, the news about Compound V is broken out. Everybody's really upset at Vought. Like, how dare you keep this secret from us? And you've been paying these people and you're monsters. And she's like leading that charge. She's like, this company doesn't
Mhm.
care about you. They only care about the money. So she's out there. But then at the close of the episode, Vought is helping to like clean up a disaster that they in fact have created. But she's like out in front doing like PR for Vought and being like, oh, we're here and I just want
Mhm.
everybody to know we're so supportive and the real heroes are, the everyday people. So it's a very weird shift back and forth where she sort of goes with Vought when it agrees with her in the moment, but she also like stands against them when it agrees with her in the moment. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's something deliberate that Vought's allowing, if they're not
Mhm.
aware of this,
Yeah.
which they should be because she's blasting it all over, of course, her like Instagram live and her feeds and everything. So it would be weird if they
Yep.
weren't. But yeah, I'm just not sure if it's a bigger strategy or like you said, it's some inconsistencies in the writing.
Yeah, just a miscalculation by the company, perhaps. Yeah,
Mhm.
often, someone hires someone and it's, oh, we thought you'd be better than this, or
Right.
not fit, not a right fit here, or
Right,
something. But
exactly.
there's no attempt to rein her in. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
she
it's
gets out there so much. She's in the spotlight, like you say, so much. So might be
yeah,
hard
I
to.
mean I don't know if it's, Vought's sort of calculating that any tension is good attention and, we can overcome what, negative attention she brings by the fact that like she's technically still with us. So,
Mhm.
some part of the people must see that she's a part of Vought. So, yeah, I'm not sure
Yep.
right now, but I think it'll be an interesting thing to watch as the season develops,
Yeah.
her relationship with the company itself.
Yeah. Well, I guess, just covering their bases too.
Mhm.
They can't look like they have a bunch of stooges in there then that are just like spitting out the dogma of the company.
Right.
Mm, Might is as funny as it seems, it might help their image, I guess. So it's kind of like when a company wants to change their image and like, oh, well, we're forming a special panel
Yep.
that is going to address these issues, and we're going to have meetings and whatever, all this stuff. And so
Right.
it's like, here's our addressing this to
Right.
appease you. Please don't get mad at us on Twitter. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
but yeah, we can get into the end bit there, I guess, with the craziness of Stormfront
Yeah.
and finding out that she is a bad bitch in the
Mhm.
literal sense. Not, well, okay, I guess it still wouldn't be literal, but in the more literal sense,
Mhm.
and not in the like, oh, she's cool sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
She's a
we
terrible person.
she is. She is. Yeah. Yeah, we have this whole moment where, the seven are kind of let off their leashes. As Edgar is like, you should get out
Hmm.
there. We're going to capture this
Yeah.
terrorist. We need to get some good PR. I kind of loved it because A Train was like, what? We don't have to be prepped or briefed or, what
Yeah.
about legal? And I was like, come on, you baby, like, get out
Yep.
there. Um, so yeah, so they they you don't need a babysitter. You're a freaking superhero. So they get out there, they confront the boys, who are of course harboring the terrorist, Kimiko's brother,
Mhm.
and they have a real showdown in these sewer tunnels. Um, that ends with Kimiko's brother and Butcher saving the day and burying Homelander for
That's
moments while
right.
they make
Yep.
their escape. Yep. Because
Yep.
yeah, Homelander's about to make Starlight kill Huey, which I mean,
Yeah.
the second I saw the three of them alone on the screen, I was like, oh shit, this isn't good. Like this is going down
No.
right now, and it almost did if it wasn't for Butcher coming in and using Kimiko's brother to save the day. So yeah, so they escape out of these tunnels. Kimiko's brother goes running because of course he's free now, and Kimiko chases after him to bring him back, and they end up in a apartment complex, where Stormfront tracks them down. And I mean, you think she's sort of going about her job and just like trying to capture the terrorist, but then we see her go through these walls, find this black family in an apartment building, and start attacking them for what seems like no reason at all. She just kind of like fries them with her fingers. She like throws one, and basically smashes his head into a pulp against the window. We see her like move through the apartment complex, chasing down Kimiko and her brother, and she's just like exploding it. Like every level of the apartment building is just on fire, explosions, like people are screaming. And you really don't get to why she's causing all of this mayhem and destruction until she gets up on the roof, finally gets Kimiko's brother alone, and just tortures him. I mean, like,
Hmm.
breaks off his hands, which was disturbing to see. Um, she starts choking him to death, and she's like, "Open your eyes, I want to watch you." She calls him
Yep.
a yellow bastard.
Yep.
So we get both that she's pretty psychotic. She clearly gets off on murdering people because the whole like "open your eyes, I want to watch you" thing,
Yep.
I thought was like almost sexual. Like she was just like, "Oh my god, I love it."
Sure.
And
Yep.
then, of course, like calling him a racist name is like, well, okay, I see why you attacked the black people in the home before because you're a
Yep.
racist.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't read it that way immediately until because at first I thought, oh well, she's just bad. She just doesn't care,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
collateral damage. Like
Yep.
I'm just,
Same.
but then yeah, it seems like it's there's definitely, and we see this more in the next episode too.
Hmm.
There's clearly an agenda they've given this character here to.
Right.
So yeah, that was quite the shock, quite the surprise.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and Homelander shows up unhappy that she killed she killed his prey,
Hmm.
said it was his to do, and so then the episode ends with her lapping up all the praise. Oh
Hmm.
my god, this guy was destroying this building, he killed these people, and our new hero Stormfront put an end to it.
That's
And
right.
Homelander is just back in the, I don't know, food line or something, just
Stewing.
seething.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a great
So
way to end the episode because it really sets it up for a Stormfront Homelander showdown,
yes.
as well as we end the episode with Kimiko watching Stormfront on the TV, so they're clearly going to have a showdown because
Yep.
Stormfront killed her brother. So it kind of made me wonder if like Stormfront's the thing that like weirdly ends up uniting the seven and the boys somehow. I know we
Oh
talked
God.
about, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
last season we talked about the
Yeah.
fact that like Nikib was going to be the thing that, oh my God, like he's got superpowers, he's a super terrorist, and he just blew up that military base. And
Yeah.
what if these are
Right.
the things that end up uniting them? And then that turned out to definitely not be the case.
Right.
But with this tension between Stormfront and Homelander and Stormfront and Kimiko, I wonder, I mean, possible,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
I thought it'd be the um yeah, it'd be the heroes and the boys pairing up against Vought. And you
Hmm.
could see like the making of that easily with
Yeah. Mhm.
Starlight, and then with Stormfront for sure. And then if
Right.
they start getting in new blood or whatever, I mean, kind of from the inside sort of thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like you say, it could still kind of go that way in some fashion.
Hmm.
I do have to ask quickly before we get on to the next episode. Do you think that Starlight
Yeah.
would have killed Huey?
No,
Okay. So
no.
what was
I
she
think,
gonna do? She looked like she was gonna try. Would she have tried to blast Homelander with all she's got, and then just like try to get out, or what?
yeah, I think either she would have tried to like fake it and somehow like blast Huey away, or
Unconscious.
yeah, unconscious, or something,
Yeah.
or yeah, she could have just like charged it all up and been like, this is my shot, like,
Yep. That's all I
just
got.
gotta try and take it.
Yep. Hmm.
But no, I don't think she would have killed Huey. I think she's definitely got issues with him still, and she's still got some shit to be mad about, but not for murder.
Yep. All right. Episode 4.
Hmm.
We might as well pick up on that again with
Yeah.
Huey and Anne, because Annie, because it. I think you noted this too. How it seems how they've kind of moved past their stuff
Yeah.
pretty quickly, and definitely in this one because they have sex again. And
Hmm.
although I get it because it like, look, if someone's comforting kind of thing.
Right. Right.
But and you're in tough situations and you're working together towards a common goal and all that sort of thing. But man, yeah, they did not deal with their issues, Huey's deception in particular. I mean, that's
Right.
really the big thing.
Right.
um so
Yeah,
we see that.
they kind of just siege into this, like, Starlight's having a really hard time, which of course she should be, like, she just outed
Mhm.
Vought and she's under a lot of pressure, and Homelander obviously suspects her like 24 hours a day of being in league with Huey and he could kill her. But they just kind of move past that, and like, Huey is very comforting, offers to take her on this like cute little road trip. They do a like cute car sing along. They have moments at the diner, then they have sex again like you said. Like, wow. I mean, I know you might need a break from reality, but man, it seems like a lot to just like
Yep.
leave in the past while you have this like, cute little vacay.
Yep. Yep. That whole thing was interesting, and obviously during that little trip we find out that's kind of the big deal. Find
Mhm.
out about Liberty, who they've
Mhm.
been tracking down.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's out of order, and it's the big surprise here. But that Liberty is indeed a racist that has
Mhm.
disappeared, but is apparently doesn't age very fast, and is indeed
Right.
Stormfront. So
Right.
we get the connection there. Like, why, they've been given the task to hunt down Liberty. Oh, she
Mhm.
must be dead by now. Nope. Nope, she's not. She just
Mhm.
changed her look.
Yep. Yeah, I
So
was I was very
we can.
confused about the whole Liberty hunt, right away
Mm,
when they introduced it, and then of course
yeah.
it made
Why?
sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
it in the beginning when Mallory just kind of like threw it out there, I was like, man, this seems really tangential to the storyline, and I'm not really sure
And
what
why
this
do you
all.
need to make them go do that? It's
Yeah,
almost like a
yeah.
video game fetch quest or something like that.
Yes,
You could just,
yes.
here's the newspaper clippings. You see their faces? It's the same person. Wow,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
It's almost like they needed a reason for Huey and Annie to have like that little
Really? That's
interlude.
the reason you think? No, no way.
I don't
That's too
think that's the
convenient.
sole reason,
No.
but I
Yeah,
think it's like part of like the
yeah, it's
circuitous, like,
convenient.
right, we couldn't just hand you the newspaper clipping and boom, there she is, the big
Yep.
reveal. We needed to like send you on a quest to do it. But
Yep.
it was kind of cool. I actually thought in terms of learning more about MM and his background and his life
Yeah.
with, his
Hmm.
dad. the fact that he's got OCD, which I totally didn't notice until Annie brought it up this episode, and she's like, "You don't notice how he like taps, the steering wheel, or he stirs his coffee exactly 3 times, or just things that I
Yep.
just was kind of cool for character development because I like him." So,
Yep. Yep. Um, there's a lot. It's just a lot that happened in this episode. I liked it.
mhm,
But there's a lot of places you can go here. Dealing with Stormfront yet.
mhm,
Former Liberty, we get her a little bit of a backstory. Um,
mhm,
Not a good one. Um, and her confrontation with Homelander. So
yeah,
this episode, we see Homelander going around saying, "I don't need anyone. I don't need
mhm,
anyone," and that kind of growing and building as we go. And so he starts confronting people and kind of, I'm tired of the lies and stuff. So he sort of takes turns going up to all the members of the Seven, except for Black Noir, of course,
right,
because
yeah,
he approves there. Um, but yeah, so further teases towards the Homelander versus Stormfront kind of thing,
mhm,
confrontation coming. And it
yeah,
makes me wonder, are we ultimately going to end up rooting for Homelander? I
yeah,
mean, they're going to make us hope Homelander can defeat Stormfront,
mhm,
but because I mean, just in measures of terrible, I
right,
mean, you kind of have the whole like South Park presidential elections, turd sandwich versus a douche.
yeah.
And this is what we're gonna get here. Which is worse for you?
It's super
Um,
true. It's super true. Like, I mean, we've spent seasons learning how weird and
mhm.
awful and casually horrible Homelander is. But at the
Yep.
same time, like, we've never just watched him like blow up a building and then be like, oh, I mean, well, I guess we did see him down a plane full of people, but
Exactly.
he did at least try to save them first, like, that
Yes.
was plan A, rather than just like, "I'm here, I'm just gonna blow it up and then be sorry about it." That was like his, "Oh,
Yep.
shit, here's my backup plan." So, yeah, it's really hard because we have seen both of them now do some, like, really terrible, awful things,
Hmm.
except that Homelander's just, like, now feeling, like, slightly less because being terrible is, like, a side occupation rather than, like, his main goal.
Yeah. I mean, he's just selfish.
Yes.
Uh, Whereas and selfish to the point of being evil,
Mhm.
whereas Stormfront um is on a vendetta, like
Yeah.
she's a like literally a hateful person,
Yeah.
um
Mhm.
that's willing to bring that to levels of evil. So, oh, and takes pleasure in it, you
Yes.
know that's
Yes.
the other difference as well. I don't think Homelander, I think he's indifferent most of the time,
Right. Right. I mean,
so.
I do think we see other forms of him enjoying casual cruelty.
Hmm.
Um, mostly against the Seven though, is where we see most of his interactions because he doesn't really seem to have interactions with other people, really. He doesn't have
Yeah.
relationships with other people than in the Seven. I mean, he has adoring fans, but that's not, the same. So
Yeah.
you see him like the Deep, his interaction with the Deep where he says like cover up your gills, they're disgusting. Like,
Yeah,
we see
right.
where that deep shame comes from. We see Homelander in this episode out Queen
Mm.
Maeve, just casually on live television, like, surprise, she's gay.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and seems to enjoy, revealing that to everyone. So yeah, I mean, I think he's got the capability for cruelty, but
Yeah.
it's slightly below Stormfront's because she
And
seems to view it on a more massive scale that she can inflict damage.
I think he takes his pleasure in his moments of, his power trip moments.
Yeah, his
Where
superiority.
can I get off on power here and there,
Mhm.
where can I flex that, versus like actually being um angry or
Yeah,
something like that about something.
destructive, yeah.
Yeah. But do you buy his falling apart? We're starting to see his fall, his deterioration. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have his boss, lover,
Or
whatever,
or does
mother.
he?
Well, yeah,
What did you
exactly.
think about that?
So I thought it was a fantasy at first.
I did
I thought
too.
I thought he is going to this cabin. This is his escape. He's probably in reality sipping a little bit of milk, you know, and
God, his
and
obsession with milk.
but this was so much worse, so much worse. That
Yeah.
doppelganger is turning into I don't remember her name. Alex probably help us out with her name again.
Stillwell. Madeline Stillwell.
Stillwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, what levels you have to go to that's okay. Um,
And
yeah,
how messed up is doppelganger?
I
I
know.
mean,
Well, he probably doesn't have a choice,
I
frankly.
mean, I know, but he also seems to like enjoy it on some level,
He's
which
got to
makes me
convince him.
well, it makes me wonder like if you spend so much of your time being other people, like how does that warp you in some ways? Because Vought and Homelander and the Seven clearly use him to portray other people. This is the second time that we've seen him portray someone else and sort of get weirdly sexual about it. Obviously, the
Mhm.
first time was with the senator, that they were trying to, force to sign the military bill, and then now, like,
Yep.
he's just like offering, like, "I'll do whatever you want sexually, Homelander. Like, let's get it on." I don't know. It sort of made me think like both of them are very twisted in very different ways, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that doesn't go well for him,
Yeah.
as we see. But clearly, Homelander. So he's starting to fall apart here. He's going
Mhm.
around trying to like regain control here or something when
Mhm.
he's not really used to having to have the responsibility of being a leader. Like
Mhm.
he's put in that pedestal as being the leader,
Right.
but he doesn't have to actually do that. You
Right.
know, go here, do this, you know, that kind of thing. Um, but despite his creepiness, he's always seemed intelligent and like
Mhm.
he does know what he's doing and stuff.
Right.
And we see that in his speeches, you know, like talking to his crowd and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And particularly with the confrontation with Stormfront, as you said,
Yeah.
he did back down quickly,
Mhm.
and that seems like an ego hit. He
Mhm.
just came in from it at a point of from a point of weakness, and that's where he's going to all his stuff, kind of, you know,
Yeah.
seeming he's not thinking it through. He's just like barking orders or whatever, and just expecting everyone's just gonna just do what he says automatically or something. And it
Mhm.
came off as childish. And I guess he is childish in many
Right.
ways, but he's
Right.
always been also commanding and, like you say, a presence.
Mhm.
Um, and he did not come off that way now.
No, no. It was very strange to me, although I thought maybe it could be saved by the fact that when he confronted Mr. Edgar about Vought and like I'm your real um your value, you can't replace me,
Yeah.
and Edgar
Mhm.
was like, "No, it's Compound V, baby, like we're a pharmaceutical company." And Homelander backed down pretty quickly from that too. But then this last episode we saw him come back at Mr. Edgar
Yeah.
harder than ever. So I thought maybe they're establishing some sort of pattern with Homelander where he like comes on strong, he gets rebuffed, he needs a minute to like come back, and then
Mhm.
he kind of like
And
strikes
you're
the
like,
final
wait a
blow.
minute.
Right, yeah. So I mean maybe that's the case, although I don't know, it left I was left from this confrontation feeling very unsatisfied. The fact that like he came in there and he's like, "Get out. It's my team. Like you don't know what you're doing." And she just like walks all over him, weirdly hits on him again.
Yeah.
Um
Mhm.
and then he just sort of like weakly leaves like, "I'll be back. Like you haven't heard the last of Homelander." And then which, is never a good thing, I think, if you're looking in terms of like who has the power dynamic. It's
Yeah.
never anybody who's like just leaves the room because they know they've lost. So
Now, I did enjoy, and I think you remarked this in your notes as well, the before scene that kind of preempted this, where he is having trouble dealing with all the memes
yeah.
that have been made about him.
Oh my
And
god.
and I do like Stormfront's kind of speech about that a little bit, how
Yeah.
you're doing all this stuff and I have a team of, 5
Mhm.
people sitting there making memes and like I can dominate the story here and
Right. I
stuff.
own you.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And offering help to him and I'm sure, just to be condescending, but like
Right.
um yeah. But that was a funny moment, flipping through all
Yes.
the memes.
Yes. There were some very clever memes in there, I have to
Hmm.
say. They were pretty I love that they landed. I think the final one was, where they've got the girlfriend holding the hand of her boyfriend and he's like turned
Yes.
around looking at somebody.
Yeah.
And Homelander's like the disgruntled girlfriend, the public
Yeah.
is the boy, and Stormfront is the girl.
Y-
That was so great. Like I felt like everybody just like immediately recognizes that. You're like, ah, I know that one.
So when this show was watched in 20 years, will that be relevant? Will people still? I mean, I
Ah,
wonder.
yeah. I think maybe some of them might still be like, you can sort of recognize them.
Mm.
It just won't be obviously as impactful as it is now.
Yep.
But
It's a
but
tough
yeah.
thing for art to decide. Do you want to be relevant or timeless?
Right, right.
Um, and um, I usually favor timeless because by its definition, it's always relevant. But
Mhm.
this is, lots of things. Comedy is often
Mhm.
relevant.
Right, right.
It's supposed to like, call to everything that makes sense for your day or whatever is, whatever's going on, But
Right.
there are comedians that are always funny.
Yeah,
So,
there are jokes that are,
y-
timeless.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
Yeah, I think this is definitely a moment of current cultural touchstone, but at
mm,
least it's pretty small in terms of like when I think of like the whole totality of the boys. Like this is a pretty
yep,
small scene, but yeah,
yep. Well, we don't have too much time, but there's still quite a bit more here.
yeah,
There's a lot in this episode.
yes,
A Train is gone. A
yeah,
Train is being kicked out
yep,
because, according to Homelander, he's maybe in the top 5 fastest now.
yeah,
Um,
burn, burn.
yep. So that's that. Um,
The deep is still
the
not back.
what's that?
I was gonna say the deep is still not back. Like he thought
Definitely
last
still not
episode
back.
he was gonna be back and part of the team, and yeah, he's not.
And
So
we see the weird.
I was just
What's
gonna
that?
say, quick. I think like Homelander hits like every other person except Black Noir in this episode.
Yep.
Like the Deep is not coming back. He like squashes that down.
Yep.
So the Deep weirdly resorts to like I'm gonna marry somebody from the collective, and she's gonna be my wife, and she's gonna redeem me. More
Yes.
collective weirdness. He hits A Train. You're out of the 7. He hits Maeve. You're a lesbian, and I'm outing you right now. Um, he gets uh Starlight obviously with like literal threats. He goes after
Yep.
Stormfront saying like I'm the leader, you need to fall in line behind me. So he's really just like hitting every single person, like
Yep.
really trying to regain his power here.
Yep. The other big thing of this episode, I guess, is
Mhm.
the whole Butcher and Becca reunion. So
Yeah.
Butcher says adios to the boys, and because he
Mhm.
has now the location of Becca, he sneaks in pretty easily, I guess. That went
Yeah.
well.
A little too easy, man.
Um, yeah. They rendezvous, they have a smoke and some sex,
Some
and like they're,
backseat loving.
yep. Um, and it doesn't go well. We find
Mm,
out, confirmed,
mhm.
that Becca was raped. She does definitely love her child,
Right.
and ultimately she's choosing her kid over
Mhm.
Butcher.
Yeah, which I mean, obviously we learned in this episode makes a lot of sense because,
Hmm.
you know, Butcher pretends like we could run away, we'll be a family, I can accept him. And then ultimately we find out that he can't because, he
Yep.
freaks out at him being a superhero and having powers and he's a freak. And yeah, so there's just some things that, he can't get over. He's got his own prejudices that he can't get over. And I think we've seen um through earlier episodes, like they make him blind to the fact that superheroes can be good people. Like he sort of seems
Yep.
to accept Kimiko because she isn't a superhero. Like she's been chained in a basement and she happens to have powers. And I think like Butcher can sort of divorce that from his mind. But he
I
can't
guess. Yeah.
he can't seem to accept like Starlight is working for them and she's a good person and she's trying to do what she can to help. And now we see
Yep.
I mean, even though he clearly loves Becca and would do like anything for her, he can't accept her
Yep.
son. So,
Yep. Yep.
so that was a
Sad.
very, yeah, a disappointing end to that reunion for sure. And of
Hmm.
course leaves us wondering like what exactly Butcher is going to do now.
Yeah. Right. I mean, yeah, obviously critical moment. He's got to find how to move on now.
Mhm.
You know,
Well, and
Becca does as well, and she has her kid,
yep.
and you have to imagine Butcher's going to go back to the boys, but
Right, but he left the boys saying like adios, is in charge.
hmm
So, I mean, are we going to have like new power dynamic struggles? Are they just going to welcome him back with open arms? I mean,
hmm
the boys seem like they've each got their own separate troubles this episode. kind of relives the story of his past on his road trip with Huey and Annie and, the death of his father and how that affected him. Butcher obviously gets his reunion with Becca, but it doesn't go at all how he hopes. Frenchie stupidly
yeah.
stupidly does some drugs, tries to kiss Kimiko when she's in the middle of all of this like crazy emotional drama that she's trying to process.
Hey, they do that in movies, you know. Oh, it's so sad. We're just gonna make out now,
Right,
like that
right.
happens in movies, right? So,
Right, so he
I
goes
mean,
for it, totally gets rebuffed, and then has to go back to his old girlfriend or friend, Isabella.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever she is. They have some sex, and he gets some free therapy. Which totally reminds me again what an awesome character she is. She is just, like, the
Yeah.
best. She's good at
Mhm.
everything. So I'd love to see her
Yep.
more as part of this.
Oh, you want a booty call? Sure. Oh, you want some help because you're actually into this other girl? Sure.
Want me to
Like,
blow up a building so that Homelander doesn't find you and kill you? Cool.
yeah.
I can wire a building to blow in 3 seconds flat. Like, girl got skills.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that works out. We do see that at least Frenchie makes it in time to stop Kimiko from attacking
Storm.
Stormfront in public,
Mhm.
and that probably would have gone badly. So,
Right, right. Yeah. In that public of a forum in front of that many people. Of course,
yeah,
it's easy to spin a narrative that, oh, it's the super terrorist sister and she's coming after me now. Like,
yeah,
what a victim I
it
am.
definitely reminds me of that kind of thing, like Wolverine versus Magneto. You know,
Mhm.
it's like you've got this villain that
Yeah.
is incredibly powerful, and he's harmed your person, your guy you like,
Mhm.
Kimiko here, and she can heal herself, and she's kind
Yes.
of feral, and she's all, she's gonna rip people apart, but she'd just be tossed to the side,
Yes.
and she's not gonna be taken. Uh, Stormfront's not going to take it easy on her in
Right.
particular. So,
Right.
um, yeah,
Yeah. I was left a lot this episode wondering exactly how strong Stormfront is. Um
yes, that's the
be- because, I think we both agree that like if Kimiko went up against her, especially in this kind of setting, she would just like strike her down. She needs some sort of
Mhm.
like setup. She needs an edge to, get close and help herself. Um, but then Stormfront, when she's having her confrontation with Homelander, backs down pretty quick when he like flashes his laser eyes at her.
Yeah,
And I
right.
didn't know if that was like real, if she was really afraid, because of course we've seen him melt
I
off
don't think
somebody's
so.
face. But yeah, or is it a ploy and she's actually more indestructible because, obviously she doesn't age the same way that normal people do because, back in the
She's not going to
60s,
show
she
all
was
her cards.
insane. Yeah, so I was just wondering, like, I think this episode gives us some hints, but also like opens some doors for some questions about how strong she is.
Well, see, which is why I thought that Homelander should have they should have made Homelander come off. Being she did back down, Homelander should have came off as stronger in that
Right.
confrontation, and
Mhm.
that would make real fall or the shock that
Mhm.
maybe he can't beat her
Right.
all the more
Impactful.
impactful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
So, because I guarantee that's where we're getting to. They're
Yeah.
gonna fight, and he's gonna for the first time understand physical pain
Mhm.
and that I may lose my life. And
Right.
he's gonna, that the childishness is gonna come out, and that could be the way that again they need to unite in some fashion because
Mhm.
we have a real supervillain now in our
Mhm.
midst.
Yeah.
So besides just being a bad person, shady character, you know, uh, just obnoxious, creepy, and willing to do evil things. You've got real bad guy now. So,
Right. Right.
yep,
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these next couple of episodes go if we get, that sort of earlier in the season confrontation where Homelander learns, the limits of his powers against Stormfront.
yep,
Um, and where the rest of the season might go from there.
yep.
So I'm
Just don't let
excited.
her get any Infinity Stones. I'm telling you, then you're in trouble.
She's just talking
You're
about a
really,
gauntlet.
yep, mm-hmm,
Some stones. Get out of here.
yep. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm sure we left out some things, but that's the gist of it. Did you enjoy these two episodes?
Really did. I really did. I thought the first episode 3 was great in terms of action, big moments moving the story forward. Vought getting exposed, our
Mm-hmm.
confrontations with the Seven and the boys, and then of course Kimiko's brother propelling her into like this new storyline. So there were big things happening, and then this fourth episode was a lot of like character development,
Yep.
development at a smaller scale, still pushing individual plots forward towards I think a bigger ending, but a lot of nuance and a lot of like personality and backstory
Yep.
development. So that was really great.
Yep. Well, awesome. I look forward to the next ones. I would like to tell you a very specific schedule on which we will bring those to you, but I unfortunately cannot. So you have to keep by your podcast feed, the
Mm,
YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications there,
mm.
follow us on Twitter, Facebook, all the social things so you can keep up to date because I hope to not have another break here, but we could have another where it goes a little more than a week. We'll see. Might I'm squeezing in short episodes or something like that here and there if we can. So
Yeah.
I have to be patient with us for like a month. I know it'll be hard, and but ultimately it's not that long. It's
That's
only
right.
like I say about a month, and then we'll be back to like regularly scheduled programming. So.
Exactly.
I'd like to thank our, well, I was going to say our sponsor. They're not a sponsor. I'd like to thank Killing the Flower for our theme song. You can check them out on Spotify and on Instagram. They also put a new video up, his latest song on YouTube. So take a look at that.
That's fantastic.
One of their band members is my brother-in-law, Lucas 333, Lucas with a K, on Twitch. when I get the chance, I stream games with him, fun things, all the popular things with the kiddies. What Fortnite or Fork Knife is called.
All Guys.
Fall Guys. Yep. He played a little Paladins with a friend the other day. Maybe we'll end up getting back into that. The ultimate Overwatch ripoff. It's a fun game. And yeah, otherwise, follow us. Let us know what we're doing wrong, what you're excited for, what you disagree with. Did we got all wrong on this show? It's actually
Right.
pile of poop. What,
Is Stormfront better than Homelander? Should we be rooting for her?
Oh God. Well, if we hear a lot of those people, I mean, your opinion is you can give it. That's fine. So
That's right. That's right. We'll have interesting conversations.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks again for joining me, Andrea, and I'll see everybody else later.
Sounds good. Cheers, everyone.